And welcome to the third episode of the Saudi Expat Podcast. I'm Grant.
And I'm Amanda.
And we're glad you came back for another show. This one, we're talking about comparing some things between the Western world and Saudi Arabia. First off, we're going to talk a little bit about transportation. Why don't you start with that, Amanda?
Okay, first one up is definitely one of my favorites, and that is inadequate road systems for the population.
Yeah, Riyadh's grown quite a bit in the past, 10, 20, 30 years from where it started out as. Yeah. So I don't think they quite planned it very well.
I think they're still playing catch up. One of the main things is the inability to navigate merging into and out of traffic. And I know we experienced this as well in Japan, where they seem a little timid, but I don't know if I would describe what happens here as being timid.
No, I think here it's more just a blatant disregard for courtesies on the road. Like yesterday, some guy just tried to force his way in and didn't really...
Which unfortunately is what happens to everybody here.
Yeah.
Because if you don't force your way into traffic, there's no way anybody's going to let you go in.
Yeah, it's not like all other parts in the world where people, make a gap for somebody to get in or, try and be a little courteous and help the flow of traffic. Here, when you merge, you got to just shove it right in and go, because you're not going to make it in otherwise.
And then there's also the blinkers. I don't think people quite know what blinkers are for here.
Well, I think the biggest problem is most people's taillights don't even work.
Well, yeah, that's true. But people also don't turn off their blinkers when they're done. Yeah. So you never know where they're going and people just stop caring.
Yeah, I think the only consistent use of a yellow signal is the hazards when there's a speed camera up ahead.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I think that's about the only reliable situation, or when traffic is slowed a lot, they put on their hazards to let people know behind them. But other than normal...
That and the flashers.
That's what hazards are.
Well, flashing your brights.
No, let's get out of the way.
Yeah, I know, but that's like the only other thing anybody ever uses.
Oh, yeah.
To signify anything in traffic here.
But that's pretty much worldwide, though. I mean, that's not really weird.
Fair enough. I do have to remind you to let people in, too, so.
Yeah, no,
so
I'm guilty of it, too. Yeah, totally guilty.
Yeah, I just have to remind you, that's all.
Yeah.
There's also the roundabouts, and I know we had roundabouts in Japan, and they weren't too bad, but here it seems that you get people coming from the left side trying to take a right, and all other sorts of things. Yeah,
in a normal society, you'd get into the roundabout. If you're not going to be getting off at the next exit, you'd move to the middle or the inside, so people can move as needed to get out. Well, here, they just drive wherever they want. A 2-lane, 3-lane roundabout turns into a 4 or 5-lane roundabout. People go from the inside, just zoom to the outside with no, care who's there with them or anything like that. So definitely something you got to be careful of.
Yes, for sure. And then there's also the constant traffic. Never is there a day without traffic here in Riyadh.
Nope, and you often can never figure out what the source of the traffic is.
I mean, there's so many reasons. There's people on their cell phones and various other electronics that I'm sure are causing distractions, and
kids jumping around the car.
Oh, yeah. People running across the highways. I still haven't gotten past that one.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see them sitting on the middle.
Mm-hmm. Just waiting for their time to strike.
Yeah, it's like playing Frogger.
Except much more dangerous.
Right. And then people seem to slam on their brakes quite quickly, and I think it causes a lot of accidents, which of course adds to the traffic because people have to rubberneck and see what's going on.
Yeah, well, I read a while ago in Britain they did a study where if one person steps on their brakes, it actually affects like 4 miles behind that one person in congested traffic.
So and here people love to slam on their brakes.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the whole merging issue. If you're coming to an on-ramp, off-ramp, people are trying to merge, which is where you'll find most of the traffic is in intersections and merging and stuff like that. People don't want to let somebody in, so they zoom up, slam on the brakes. The guy behind them slams on the brakes, and it's just a chain reaction.
And at the same time, I think they're trying to help out with the traffic situation with having the police sitting there on the merge onto lanes.
Yeah, but that's going from the frontage roads or the service roads onto the main roads to help.
But could you imagine if they weren't there?
Yeah, we see it when they're not there. It's horrible.
Right. So I mean, they're trying to at least get a little bit better. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and be a little optimistic here, because I feel like we're being so negative about everybody that drives in Saudi Arabia.
Well, it's not everybody, just the majority of people.
Except for you get those people that are being too cautious when they drive and aren't going really slow.
I'd much rather have those guys than the ones that are.
Are you sure about that? Because I'm pretty sure you sit there and cuss in the car at them. So
yeah, but I go around them then. I mean, sometimes it's going around them sideways, but I still go around them.
I'm just saying. I'm just being. Let's keep it real. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I scare Amanda quite a bit in the car when I get pissed off.
If you ever pass by a car with some lady in the front seat gripping onto the handle there, that would be me.
And at the current time with the loud turbo and an external wastegate, then it's probably us.
That car goes way too fast for him to be driving here. It wouldn't be so bad if we were not living like in a big city that had traffic and we were out near open roads. It'd be one thing, but
yeah, when you get pissed and you push the gas down, it has a tendency to go
especially when
sideways
people
very loud.
Force their way in, and
yeah,
I have to tell them to calm down. But.
Yeah, so let's continue off of that.
And speaking of traffic enforcement, there seems to be a lack of that. Besides the people that are controlling the merging.
Yeah, and even then, they're not really doing anything. They just kind of block half of the lane, so only one person can go through at a time, and they're just sitting in their car on their cell phone.
Yeah. Or the car's empty with the lights on.
Yeah, that happens too.
Yeah, I see that a lot around roundabouts.
Yeah, well, I think that's just...
Because I think when we went to El Chico, there was one sitting.
Yeah, just chilling.
I don't think anybody was in it.
No.
It was just there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was eating at El Chico.
Maybe.
He should have been.
It was yummy.
Oh, my favorite topic. Traffic lights and how they are not synced. Like on Olea Street, where if you're going straight, it's a 30-second light. But
40 second.
Oh, sorry. 40-second light, whereas the cross traffic, which shouldn't be as busy as what
it's all 40 seconds because that timer...
Are you sure? Because I think it's like 100 and some seconds on the cross traffic.
But that timer...
Yeah.
Once that timer starts, it's how long it takes to get around all the lights to get back to you. So each one's only 40 seconds.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
The big problem is when you go to a developed country. Well, we're not going to say Saudi Arabia's not developed, but when you go to a more traffic advanced country, you notice that two sides go at one time. Well, since Saudis can't figure out how to turn left without killing each other, they have to do one stoplight at each interval. So instead of something traveling north and south going and then stopping, then east and west going, it's north, then south, then east, then west, or clockwise or counterclockwise, however it works in that situation.
Which helps out when you're needing to make a U-turn at a stoplight because there's at least nobody coming forward to hit you.
Yes, most definitely. But in a normal society, people would be able to look out for somebody coming for you.
In a normal society, there would be a turn light that people would obey, but...
Yes. Well, here they can't even obey stoplights, let alone turn lights.
They can't even obey 3 lanes.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's technically shoulders.
No, they're lanes.
So, yeah, exactly.
Definitely not shoulders.
And then also there's only a few main roads in the city.
Yeah. So Riyadh is... The center of the city is pretty dense, and then outwards is kind of sparse. So we're going to talk about just the center of the city. Now, to the west of Riyadh center, like we're going to say the center is the Riyadh Air Base, the old military base where whatever. Anyways, the left of Riyadh Air Base, there's really only a few main streets. Now, there's a bunch of little streets, but all the traffic from the main streets falls off on the little streets, and it doesn't really help anything. People are just trying to get around the traffic. Now, with this problem, everybody traveling along the same few roads to get in the same areas, because everything's either to the west or the south of Riyadh Air Base, mainly. It makes everybody going in the same direction. So, like when we go home from work, all the roads are slammed, but the other way going out of Riyadh isn't. Now, once they initiate a highway system or some other kind of speedier transit and make the on-ramps, off-ramps easier to operate, I think it'll help a lot. But for right now, there's not really any alternate routes. If there is an alternate route, it involves going off of the main road, going through back roads, making 7-8 different turns.
And you're usually going through neighborhoods, and for some reason, when the roads intersect in these back roads, there are no stop signs, and even if there are, nobody's paying attention. If you're lucky, there's speed bumps.
Yeah, speed bumps are a huge pain in my ass in Saudi Arabia, but it keeps people to slow down. But like she said, at intersections, there's no stoplight. I mean, no stop sign. There's no marking of an intersection. You have to pay attention because people will just fly through that intersection. And
there's no sense of who has the right of way.
What right of way?
Exactly, because everybody thinks they have the right of way.
Well, if you're Saudi, you do.
Fair enough, but you know what I'm talking about. If there's 4 people on each corner, of an intersection,
who goes first.
Right?
Yeah, there's no politeness, there's no flashing or waving. It's just I'm going and deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a little crazy, guys. So with all the negativity, let's give a little bit of positivity in the mix. Now, there's a lot of road widening going on. If you drive down King Fahad Road, they're laying a lot of new pavement on the right-hand side, like out down by Al Habib Hospital area, that whole area. They're making the roads wider, making them nicer to try and help the flow of traffic a little bit, which will help. Also, they're doing truck restrictions in the cities at peak times. Like in the afternoon time, you'll be driving through the city and you'll see all the trucks and everybody parked on the side of the road with all the police there telling them, hey, don't be a dumbass, get out of the way. It's only going to make it better not having the huge trucks that take forever and break down and get everywhere in the middle of the street.
I do want to make a comment, though, when you're talking about the road widening, and I agree that it's a good thing that they're doing this because they're trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, I believe that they're doing too much too fast.
This is true, but...
And not fast at all at the same time.
Yeah. I would like to think there's some grand plan in the whole situation, that somebody has been contracted to design this transit package that will actually help the situation.
And I have no doubt that once it gets finished, it will be flawless. But, well, maybe not flawless because I don't think anything's flawless. But the fact is that you're going near all these high traffic areas, and everywhere you go, there's traffic. You can't get to where you need to go. And was it really such a good idea to do so many roads at one time?
Well, the thing is Saudi Arabia, like we talked about last podcast, has grown exponentially faster than most countries. In the last 20 years, they've done more development than a lot of countries in 40 years. So since they didn't, I don't want to say didn't, but since maybe they didn't plan ahead well enough for the population growth and for the large number of vehicles and that kind of stuff, maybe they didn't take into account for the road structure and the road system and just kind of built up. Well, now they're having to go back and re-engineer the road systems to help get it better, and there's really not a better time.
Or maybe they thought it was just a Band-Aid theory where they might as well just rip it off all at one time and get it done with.
Yeah, and to me, I think it's a great idea, because why prolong it? Yeah, it's going to suck for a year or two, but for the next 15, 20, 30 years until they grow bigger and need even more, then it is what it is.
I guess it just comes down to the fact that when we were near Hyatt Mall in Sahara yesterday, that they had taken 4 lanes down to 1 in a really, really high traffic area.
Yep. But then that also brings the whole merging issue we had.
That and
nobody can do it.
Yeah, but why would you take it down from 4 to 1 when you could have done 4 to 2 or 4 to 3?
Well, because in the Sahara Hyatt Mall area, they're doing more of a highway system. If you notice when we were going towards the pet stores, and we were going down the road, you notice how it widened up real big.
Yeah.
Well, they're making that into kind of an overpass, like how by Riyadh Gallery in all those areas, how it's raised highway and then underneath the other access roads.
Right.
Well, that's what they're doing in that area to try and get all the main traffic up off the road and down the way.
Fair enough. I'm still just a little traumatized from yesterday, that's all.
Yeah, well, that's my fault, sorry. Also, more U-turns and on and off ramps to main roads are being put in at busy junctions that didn't have them. There's been a couple of exits where there was about 6 months of construction. Well, that construction was to put in a U-turn area. Now, normally you would have to get off the exit, turn right, go down another kilometer or so, then make a U-turn, then come back up to go and then get off onto the main road going the other way to make a U-turn. Well, now a lot of exits are having just a U-turn put in so they can just make a U-turn and go back down the other way. This saves a lot of time, a lot of traffic, a lot of people cutting across a whole bunch of lanes, because once you make that right, you're now in the right-hand lane having to go across 4 lanes of traffic to make that U-turn to go back under the bridge and go back the other way. So it's little things like that that are making life a lot easier. And hopefully, when they do more and more of them, it'll work out a lot better. Also, like we just talked about, the highways are being put into high congested areas. It is a big, big inconvenience for quite a while, but it's going to be a lot better. I
think that every place that we have gone to every weekend since I've been here, there has been some type of road construction near it.
And it's the funny part is that there were some political comics and a few in the newspapers, and it had like the iconic things in the different places, like the United States was Statue of Liberty, Paris was the Eiffel Tower. In Saudi Arabia, it was one of those traffic barriers with a little light flashing on it.
Nice.
So it has been well noted and addressed that is an issue with Saudi Arabia.
If you're lucky, there's a flashing light on the top of it and it doesn't just pop up on you, because it's happened to us where we've been like, oh crap, there's a barrier there. I'm going to merge over.
Well, it's funny because you remember in Japan how they had the LCD boards with the guy with the flag waving on it, as a kind of image.
They even had the reflectors that had
little motors where the arms swung.
No, it was just where they had the reflective strips placed made it look like somebody was standing there.
Yeah.
Even though there was nobody there.
Yeah. Well, in cards on the way to work, there's scarecrows. They made scarecrow guys out of like orange jumpsuits with reflective things with an arrow pointing to go that way. So not as high tech, but it still works, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe they need to visit that LED shop that was over by the pet store we went to yesterday.
I know, right? Get some more high visibility.
There you go. It always happens in dark areas as well, too, I've noticed.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. There's also no mass transit here. Where, we've lived in Japan where mass transit is huge. There's trains everywhere. There's buses everywhere. So you were either within walking distance to a train, or you could take the bus to the train and you could get pretty much anywhere you needed to go.
Or ride your bike to the train.
Exactly. I know I worked in Tokyo and we lived outside Tokyo, and I would take the train at times to go to work. So I've been there, done that plenty of times. And, being from Atlanta, we have the MARTA system, which is train, and there's also buses that run up there. I know they're starting to get more buses in my hometown, and I believe Myrtle Beach has.
Yep, we got buses. We don't have a train system of any sort, but we got more buses, trolleys.
I don't know that you would need a.
No, it's not that big. No.
But any major city in the States or that has high tourism is going to have some type of mass transit system. Mm-hmm. Where here we don't. There is no bus system. Unless you count the private transportation for companies.
And they have those little, like the Pakistanis and Bangladeshis and those kind of guys. They have these cool little trucks that zoom around the whole city that create even more traffic because they drive like retards. But
they're crazy.
But it works for them. They have their own little thing. But there's no like Saudi ministry developed.
I guess we have to say it's not public transit.
Yeah.
You've got company-owned transit where, they're being bused by their companies.
Yeah, that too.
And then there's also no subway systems here either.
Nope.
So, which I think would actually probably be really good.
Well, they're actually on exit 12 or something like that down on the way to Cards Road. They're building the Riyadh train station, the main train station.
Right.
And supposedly it's going to connect to Jeddah and a few other places with some stops at large areas. I don't know the whole story about the thing, just a few articles that I've read, but it's supposed to help out and make life a little easier.
I guess, in my opinion, a lot of the reason why they don't have mass public transit here is because they have no need. In other countries where we've had to develop things like this because of the cost of fuel, they don't have that issue here because cheap fuel everywhere. Yeah, obviously.
For you guys in the States, it cost me about 50 cents a gallon to fill up my car.
Where we're looking at almost $4 back home.
And that's for high octane. That's for 95 octane.
Right, so you're looking over $4.
Yeah, depending on your area, from like probably $3.80 to $4.20 a gallon of gas. So it's a lot easier for even people making a ridiculously low amount of money to be able to drive.
Right. So I mean, every male here drives.
Yeah,
not
pretty
every
much.
Female drives at all. So I wouldn't want to drive here, but it's just my opinion. I almost hate to ride in the car here, so let's just put it like that.
Oh, it's fun. Don't lie.
It's like being on a roller coaster, and I wonder why I never rode one.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about taxis. No,
because we forgot to mention that there is actually a train here in Riyadh.
Oh, well, it only goes to Dammam, I believe. They also have buses that go from Riyadh to Dammam and Riyadh to Jeddah and a few places like that, but they're like charter buses. They're not really. But when we say public transportation or mass transit, we mean like state-run or state-run and then contracted out to actually be available to the masses to reduce the traffic within the city center.
Which I still think would probably be a good idea if they ever invested in it. But like I said, there's probably there hasn't been a need for them to even look at it.
No, there's a need for it. But I think the biggest problem is them having to figure out how to do it and still adhere to Islamic law.
That and that's with the mixing.
With the mixing and the separation and all that
Fair
kind
enough.
of stuff, then it's going to be, there's a lot of development
Well, I
and
mean-
research that has to go into it to figure out a way to do it but still be Sharia compliant.
I think they could do it only because, I mean, it would take a lot of figuring out. And I say this only because Japan had the women only cabs on the trains.
Yeah, but that was more elective versus required.
Right. And I understand, but I think if they could do something like that and figure out a way for women to get through the train station, that it would be fine. Because obviously women go to malls and it's semi-mixed. I mean, they can't socialize, but you have single women walking around, single men walking around. So
Numbers flying everywhere and BlackBerry Messenger numbers
On the back of trucks.
On the back of trucks, and
people are just going to start wearing them on the back of their heads.
yeah. You know, like back in the 90s when people put designs in the back of their hair when it was shaved in the
Shave a
back.
BlackBerry pin into the back of their hair. That'd be great.
So let's go to taxis now. Or is that okay with you?
Yes, taxis.
You good with that?
Sure, let's
right.
go.
Now,
I've not taken a taxi, but okay.
no, I've only taken one in Riyadh, but I took a whole bunch of them in Jeddah, and a whole bunch of friends take them. So for me, it's not really firsthand here in Riyadh. We took them a whole bunch in Jeddah as well as private transportation, but all of them can be negotiated. They have meters, but if they really need money, they'll turn them off and give you a ride to wherever you need to go. Most taxis are all marked unless they're a private driver. They're all white with the yellow signs on the side and all that kind of stuff.
They're kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, they're normally Corollas or Camrys. There's some other stuff, but
I mean, honestly,
that's
all
majority.
the taxis I've seen here look exactly the same, which means they're probably from the same company.
Well, I think it's
Or-
more like
Do you think maybe they have like branches?
city run. Well, it's kind of like in New York how they all look the same
Oh, okay. fair
because
enough.
they just have to look like that.
Right.
Well, the same in Riyadh. They're all white with the
It
same
might be in
markings.
Arabic, and I just can't read it. So
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know. but-
Anyways, sorry. I'm a little off topic there, but I had to satisfy my curiosity.
Yeah.
So
Now there has been a problem in the past with unmarked taxis picking up people and things happening, and well, that's illegal. So always make sure that if you're gonna get a taxi and you don't know the person or the individual or the company or whatever, make sure it's marked, make sure it's a legal taxi, all that kind of stuff. Because private drivers don't have markings, but they're a little different because you know who they are. You always want to vet that. Also, make sure that you know where you're going. The best suggestion that I have for you is to use your phone, whether it be Android or iPhone or even Nokia, since it's actually decent now with Windows Phone 8. To know where you're going, go ahead and have your GPS set up. Always put your home in your GPS. That way, wherever you are, you can hit home. And you know where he's going, because there have been many instances where taxi drivers like to go a long way or zigzag through the city or whatever just to get more money out of you, because it is distance based. So make sure you know where you're going, and if you don't, do a little research beforehand. Our Riyadh map has a whole bunch of places.
just what I was about to mention. I was going to say, if you're here in Riyadh, you could always use our map, which is very handy because we use it like every time we go out.
Yeah, constantly. We always use it. And if you have anywhere to add, let us know. We'll put you on the collaborators email list, and you can add whatever areas you want. Help us out, make it bigger, and fix some stuff that we're still wiping up from the dude that messed everything up.
So please, if you plan on helping us out with that, don't mess with anything that you don't know.
Please.
Please. Begging. Thank you.
Now, the final part in that is private transportation. There's a couple options. You can either talk to some friends, talk to some coworkers, even talk to your compound. They have private drivers, which is just a dude that uses his own car to drive everybody around for whatever price that you guys negotiate on. To me, this is the best way. It's more reliable than a taxi, because if you call them, say, hey, I'm going here to here, I'm going to stay there for X amount of hours, the dude will actually just pick you up when you're ready. You don't have to worry about finding a taxi. It's easier because normally they have compound passes, so you get on your compound. Plus, when you get a rapport with the guy, normally you can get better prices. If you tip really well, he'll put you at the top of the list when 3 or 4 people are calling. He'll take you first. We use a lot of private drivers in Jeddah. We had 3 or 4 different numbers. We used them to go scuba diving, to the malls, all that kind of stuff. It definitely was advantageous.
I think there, though, you also had the need because you didn't have a car. Your company didn't provide one there. Correct?
Yeah, but this, you got to remember, a lot of people still don't have a car.
It's true. It's
So,
true.
I mean, I'm kind of lucky where we're in the situation that we are, but there's still a lot
Thank
of
goodness,
people,
because
even
we're a
my
little
friends.
we're a little outside of town too.
Yes, so depending on where you're at, you definitely have to have a car. But if you stay in Riyadh, you know, you may not need a car. I mean, you may be able to get along with not having a car, not using taxis or whatever, because a lot of things are within walking distance. But here, not so much. We don't even have a gas station within walking distance.
I'm just thinking about walking anywhere in this country. I'm scared to cross the street. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some places
even
have
even a
bridges.
mall parking lot, I'm scared to cross.
Yeah, we did almost get run over, but
You know, yeah.
then he waved us after he almost ran us over. He waved us across. He was a nice guy, I guess.
Sure.
I don't think he tried to run us over.
Okay. Moving on. Sound good?
Sure.
Okay. Next, we're going to go on to the differences for women here in Saudi Arabia or here in Riyadh specifically versus being in the U.S. or say Japan, since we've lived there.
We'll say Western societies.
There you go. Or places that we've been before.
Sure. Why not?
Sound good? Because we
Sure.
seem to talk about Japan a lot.
Sure.
So.
Just keep rubbing it into people.
I know. They should be jealous.
Yeah. You should.
And I know we probably have some of our friends from Japan listening, so they know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Continue.
Okay, the first difference is the abaya.
Yay.
And I know we've talked about it because we were looking for one for me for a long time.
Ever.
And ever. But we finally found one, so that's all that matters. But, you know, with the abaya, there are different styles to choose from. I know you liked the Moroccan style, which actually has a hood attached to it. So instead of having to carry a scarf with you, if somebody says something, you could just flip the hood up.
Well, see, I actually like this, what has been deemed sport abaya. It has a hood built in with pockets and a whole bunch of other stuff, but we can't really seem to find one. So
Yeah.
I see like two or three people with them on, but I can't ever find them.
Well, what I've heard from people is a lot of them have brought them over from other places that they've been, whether it's, you know, I don't know if they got them from, where did they say?
No, UAE has a lot of them, Bahrain, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'd
So maybe
imagine
if we ever go, we can
What do you mean if we ever go? Once you get your
when we go.
See, we've been waiting for her Agama now for 2 months.
That's a whole nother discussion. We can talk about that at the end.
But once she gets it, she'll get her visa. Because I already got my multiple visa, and we're going to UAE. So if you want to go, holler. We'll go as a group.
So, anyways, if you've not heard of an abaya and you haven't been listening to this podcast, well, an abaya is basically a big black robe that's closed in the front.
Well, let's not say black because there are colors.
Most of them here in Riyadh are black.
Okay, I agree.
There you go.
But I'm just saying that there are colors.
Okay, if you live in Jeddah, or maybe you're in Dubai, or somewhere other than Riyadh,
Khobar.
somewhere other than Riyadh, you may find them in different colors.
We
but
find
here
them in Riyadh. Come on, we saw those two chicks at Faisalia with the super colored stuff.
No, they were still majority black. They just had colors incorporated into it.
Yeah, whatever. Continue.
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever.
So we could argue like this all the time. And what it is, it's to cover you, basically cover the female form, so that pervy guys don't check you out. It's basically what it's for. Another thing that's different is the headscarf. I forget what's the proper name for it. Do you know?
Hijab, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. You'll notice a lot of women here in Saudi Arabia wear it because Muslims are required to cover their head when in public, correct? There are women who do wear ones that cover the whole face or everything but the eyes, or, you know, everything from the nose down. So it just depends. There's lots of different.
I like the ones that cover the whole head, but they're not like a traditional burqa type. It's just like a pile of cloth that's like mesh see-through,
it's
just
really,
sitting on their head. It's kind of cool. I think it's cool, but it's interesting.
You know, we had this discussion last time about we're so used to reading people's expressions and knowing
you can't do that here.
That's how they're meaning things. Yeah, you can't do that here. I mean, you can't even do that with the men here because when they talk, they sound like they're yelling at each other. And
let's get back on topic here.
So there's headscarves. There's lots of different types. Usually they will match the abaya, and that's usually how they sell them.
Fashion.
So I know when I bought my abaya that had the pink on it with the rhinestones, they didn't have one that matched, but they had one that had pink and rhinestones on it, so they gave that to me. Anyways, of course, abayas and headscarves are not required on Western compounds.
And in the diplomatic quarter as well. It's an abaya-free zone, apparently. We haven't been yet, but
that's
supposedly.
kind of Western area, just because all the embassies are over there.
Yes.
Which I really want to go to because they have gardens. But anyways, moving on. So those aren't required on Western compounds. And I guess that kind of shows you the big difference between being in a Western area and being over here as far as women having to cover up.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Thank you for agreeing.
I wasn't really sure what you were expecting me to say to that.
I don't know that there is anything else to say about it. It's just that it's interesting because they are very fashion conscious here.
Oh, yes. Way.
Lots of brand names everywhere you go. They love their H&M. I love H&M, so I'm not going to say anything bad about it. But it's interesting for them to be so fashion conscious, yet having to cover up in public and not really being able to show off.
Well, that's why they have designer abayas and handbags and
the makeup stores stuff are ridiculous. There's
so many of them.
Lots of Dior and
MAC, Sephora.
Lots of expensive, crazy stuff. So it's just interesting. Even with the nail polish, I know people have said things to women who have nail polish on. Yes,
that's a video on YouTube.
Exactly.
It's awesome. I'll put it in the link.
You see nail polish everywhere you go.
Yep.
So it's like, where are they putting this nail polish? If they're not supposed to be putting it on their nails, why do they get manicures?
In private. It's for, in private for your husband.
So what are you going to do? Put on your nail polish and take it off before you go to the mall and get it redone again?
No, if you see a lot of women wear gloves.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't care. I wear my chip nail polish out in public.
Yeah. We're a little odd. We have tattoos and facial piercings, and we're not really the normal Westerners.
It made me laugh because somebody once asked me about what someone would think about their husband showing off his tattoos. And it made me laugh because I was like, I think they would have more to say about my half sleeve tattoo than they would about any guy having a tattoo.
Yeah, definitely.
So I walk around with my lip ring and
for us it's weird because in Islam you can't have tattoos, you can't have piercings, all that kind of stuff. Right. So we're the oddballs out, I mean, I know there's a lot of men and women with tattoos, but we have a little more prominent than
I guess.
Normal
well,
people,
I mean,
and even in the sector of Westerners that have them versus the rest of the Westerners or rest of the expats is an inherently small group of people to begin with as well. So it's just kind of an oddity for the Saudis to see people like us.
I would question if they thought anything when I went to go get my x-ray done at the hospital, but since it was a Filipino nurse, I don't think she really thought anything about it.
Yeah, nah. It'd be like when we were at Fat Burger and which one, Riyadh Gallery?
Yeah.
And the Filipino dudes were asking about our tattoos.
Yeah, they liked your tattoo, and then
they're all like, "Oh, we have them too." So let's talk a little bit about mixing, which I'm sure all of you care about. No, it's not allowed. I'll just say it, put it out there. It's not allowed. You can't have a single man and a single woman chilling around in public. However, people do it. You just have to be careful. Don't go to places where it's obvious. Don't do things that are obvious. You have to be, on the DL about it. Relatives are only mixed individuals that are allowed in public, like brother, sister, all that kind of stuff.
I did want to say something about mixing in public. Mm-hmm. There was a blog post. Her name is Layla. She blogs Blue Abaya. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah, the Blue Abaya. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll post a link for it. But she had a friend who actually got arrested for being out in public with non-relatives.
Wow.
She is. I think the nurse was also Finnish, so she was a Westerner.
Really.
And got placed in jail and not told why. I don't remember how she found out, but I'll have to find the blog post and put it up for the link. But it was quite interesting because, I mean, we talk about how different it is for Westerners here and how they're a little more lenient on us. Mm-hmm. A little bit, yes. I mean, we'll still get hassled at sometimes. I've heard of it, but, it does happen. So being single and a Westerner, you still have to be careful about mixing in public.
Definitely.
So
especially if you run up against somebody that really has something to prove against Westerners, right. They'll do anything to mess with you. But it's just like any other country, if they don't like the people that are there, then they're gonna do what they want to do to make it hard for you.
Right. And I don't know about you, but the experiences that I've had with Saudi women have been positive. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've been really nice. Like I told you, the lady sitting next to me on the plane offering me some Pringles. Yeah. She even got her daughter to fix my headphones.
Yeah.
So, they're real nice here.
Yeah, definitely. Don't let all the bad stereotypes affect what you think.
And don't believe everything you read, or don't generalize people based on what you read, I suppose.
Yes. Now, also, if you do want to mix, there's compounds. There's parties on compounds. The diplomatic quarter has events at different embassies. You just have to keep your ear to the ground into the forums and all that kind of stuff. And also, you have hashes, which are kind of like group outings in the desert or whatever, undisclosed locations, bunch of people there, great way to network, meet people. But really the easiest way is to find your friends at work, getting along with them, hang out with them, find more people, network, that kind of stuff. Us, we're kind of chill. We don't really need to have a huge social life, so we don't really worry too much about it.
I think it'd be different if we were alone. You and I tend to get along well enough that we can be together all the time and not have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we have issues, but
they're more mental on your part than mine.
Oh, yeah, thanks. We do have our arguments. I mean, we're a married couple. Come on. Of course, we're going to argue at some point or another.
But we're pretty self-sufficient. I was an only child, so I can entertain myself pretty well.
Yeah.
And
my brother and my sister were older than me, so I was pretty much an only child too.
Yeah, so we're pretty self-sufficient. It's cool to be around people, but we don't have to be.
We get along well enough that we can go to the mall and hang out with each other and
make fun of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's pretty bad, but we do it.
Pretty much all we do.
Yeah.
So. But I think that happens to a lot of married couples here, and it came to mind because a woman I met in the gym, and she was talking about how a lot of the people here tend to be closed off, and it's understandable.
Well, it's also because of now, don't take this wrong, guys, because my wife is half Filipino, but we all know that Filipinos like to gossip. Let's not play games. Let's not, don't call it racist. Truth is the truth.
I'm not gonna lie, and I got lucky that my mom, she gossips a little bit, but she isn't too bad. Mm-hmm. So I think I got lucky growing up like that. But when we lived in Japan, of course, there were a lot of Filipino wives with military members, and so I was friends with a lot of them. And of course, there were a lot that gossiped, but then there were also a lot that were chill. So
yeah, well, on this compound, the whole Filipino military wives, they're like 20 years older now because they're out of the military and they're still wives. And there's a lot of gossip on this compound, and I know I don't want to be a part of it, so I don't even hang out with anybody from work.
When you think of the size of this compound that we live on, it's small, and when there's nothing to do, people are going to find ways to.
And everyone on it is from work. It's not like there's a whole bunch of different companies. It's all from work.
Mine is like 10 people.
Yeah, but everything that happens at work is passed around the compound. If somebody has a problem with somebody, it's passed around the compound. So I don't really associate with anybody on the compound, and neither does she. We walk the dog and go to the pool and go to the gym, and that's about it. Everything else is off the compound.
Yeah. Together.
Yeah. So
forever.
Together. All right, now that I just busted everybody's eardrums,
everybody's pushed stop.
Yeah, now for women transportation, now this is just women specific. The biggest thing you can do is ask your friends. Talk to your friends, find out what they do. See what drivers they use. See what, buses are available from your compound or from your apartments or your company to get different places. You want to ask your friends if they have personal drivers that they prefer. They may have 3 or 4 personal drivers in their phone book, but there may be that one guy that's that much better, that gives that much better service, or a good driver, or is faster, knows the city better. So you definitely want to ask and figure it out. Your compound, like our compound, has 2 different drivers that they can give you the numbers for, that they can arrange, as well as a compound bus that you can pay to take you wherever you want to go. So ask your compound what they have going on, and maybe they'll be able to help you out. Also, there's people advertising their services on places like expat-blog and expatriates.com that they're a personal driver. You can hire them for 1,000, 2,000 Riyals a month for X amount of hours per day. They drive you where you need to go, pick you up, take you home, all that kind of stuff. That's also an option if you're a single female. Maybe 2 or 3 guys can get together, hire your own personal driver, and make life easy. Who knows?
Hey, there you go.
Also, taxis. One of the least desirable ways, I'm going to say, for you guys to transport, because you don't really know who it is. It's not trustworthy.
At the same time, though, there are a lot of women in Saudi that take taxis.
Oh, no doubt there is. Yeah, there is, but they're Saudis.
Yeah, that's true.
It's, a little different when you can speak the language. I mean, if you know Arabic, if you know what you're doing, hey, go for it. But for somebody we're saying is relatively new to the country, doesn't know the language that well or the area that well, try and stick away from taxis. It'll make your life a lot easier in the end. Like I said before, know where you're going and how to get home. Use your phone, GPS, whatever you got to do. That way you don't get ripped off. You're not, going the wrong way. You're aware of your surroundings, all that kind of stuff. Just like everywhere you go, even in your home country, you got to be vigilant. So don't take anything for granted here at all. And just like if you're on vacation, Travel in groups. You don't really want to travel alone. Makes you an easier target. Not saying that this place isn't safe, but you always have to be careful because there is crime, just like everywhere else. So don't make yourself a victim. Be aware of your surroundings. Travel in groups with your friends. I'm not saying it's required because I didn't. Nothing happened to me. I rode my bicycle in Jeddah, on the highways and stuff, and nobody messed with me. So not saying it will happen, but if you can be safe, why not?
I do see in your notes that you talk about having an address card in Arabic.
Yes.
Just to make sure, if you have any issues getting back. And I think this is one of the best ideas. When I worked in Tokyo, I actually had one of the ladies that worked at the hotel write down for me how to get to our address.
Oh, that's cool.
When we lived in Akiruno.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if I needed to take a taxi.
Once you got back off the train, you could take a taxi.
Right.
That's
right.
Cool. Yeah, that's
cool. I think it was before I knew that the train went all the way back behind the house.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
She had written this down for me to make sure that I could be able to use it.
Yeah, it makes life easy because while there are a lot of people that speak English in Saudi Arabia, some of the cab drivers, well, actually, not some, the majority of the cab drivers speak either broken English or minimal English. So, and you can't even say, oh, well, I don't know Arabic. There's a lot of, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Indonesians. So there's a whole bunch of different languages and different, native regions of those languages that are being spoken. So it's hard for you to account for every situation.
And it's good to know if any major landmarks are around you.
Yes.
I know we have, a rather large university near us.
Mm-hmm.
So
makes it easy when somebody says, hey, where you at?
Pinpoint, right. It's, we can just say, hey, it's near this school. So that makes it really good. Maybe if you live near Kingdom Tower, you've got that at least. I don't know if there's really any houses or apartments over there, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, there are.
Okay, well, I'm just saying. So, it's always good to know if there's any major landmarks that are fairly popular because if you tell them this, they're going to know where it is.
Exactly. So we're going to move on to the next thing, which is...
the advantages of being a woman in Saudi Arabia.
See, everybody says I'm crazy, but I'd much rather be a woman here than a man.
I don't know.
Come on.
Okay, so I have to give the fact that I can wear whatever I want under my abaya. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And it's especially great now because
it's starting to get hot.
Well, that and the fact that my abaya is now sewn in the front.
Yes.
So now there's no worrying because before when it was buttoned, you had the chance of it becoming unbuttoned or your legs sticking out. And I like to wear my running shorts and my t-shirt under my abaya. And I know other women talk about how they wear pajamas under their clothes.
In Jeddah, when we were going to the beach, they'd wear bikinis under their abayas.
See, there you go. You can wear whatever you want. Wear your underwear. I don't care. I'm sure the nurse looked at me oddly when I rolled out in my leggings and my t-shirt. But hey, whatever. I was playing with the dog earlier that day. So another advantage, not having to deal with driving in traffic. Thank you. It's bad enough to ride with you in traffic. I don't want to drive in it.
I don't want to drive in it either. I think we've said this a few times.
It's horrible, and I laugh because every time we go into Riyadh, we pass the sign for the driving school.
Uh-huh.
And I have yet to figure out what they teach in this driving school because everybody has to take it before they get their license.
Yeah, well, for U.S. citizens and for other countries, you don't have to take the driving test. You just drop off your license, all this and that. So I didn't have to personally do it. I got my driver's license. I just gave the dude at the office, from our office, my information. He took it, got me a driver's license, and came back. But apparently, some people have to, and what I've been told is that they teach you to basically drive how they drive already. Really. Like, seriously. Like the book says one thing, but look, nobody drives like this, do this, do this, do this. And
here
this,
are 3 lanes, now turn it into 5.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Okay, just checking. And if you're on the right lane and you need to take a left, go ahead and do that. Come across 3 lanes of traffic.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Just go. No problem.
It's all good.
Yep.
Somebody will eventually stop, if not hit you. So, anyways.
And then it'll be their fault, and you'll just yell at them.
Anyways, I could go on about traffic all day here, but moving on. Women and women/family only sides in public places.
In restaurants and malls and eating areas and bathrooms and all that stuff.
I know in Kingdom Tower, the mall there, they actually have a women-only floor, and they have guards that stand at the stairs to the top floor.
Yeah, they do.
To make sure no men go up there.
Yep.
So it's women only. So that's nice. Salons here are also women only. So massage parlors where you get your nails done, things like that. I know you rather enjoy having me here because you can go to Faisalia on certain days when it's families only.
Yes, because a lot of malls have certain days and certain hours where singles can't be there. I mean, you can meander your way in if you're not retarded, but, you know, it makes it easier to get to where you want to go if you have a female with you.
It's also easier being a female here, even in the airport. I know you told me to go to a certain line, the GCC line. Mm-hmm. And once I got to the front, I was like, I don't know where I need to go. So they called somebody over and they pulled me over and they put me into the front of the line somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it pissed off all the guys behind me, but I can't really do anything because I'm a woman.
Also, it's cool in Mobile and King Fahad when we went to go get your SIM card fixed and the plan changed over.
Oh yeah, because there was
family only side.
Yeah, and there was maybe us and another family, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And on
there
the
were
single
like
side,
100 other people waiting.
I don't know if I'd say 100. There were at least 20
There were a lot. There were a lot of people.
Yeah. I always tell Grant that he gets treated better because I'm here.
Yes.
Usually I tell him that because I'm Filipino.
Well, only places where being Filipino would apply.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Another thing is men typically leave you alone.
Typically,
which means they're not usually. How do I say this? I'm picturing a New York subway and
douchebags.
Yeah, I'm imagining New York City on the subway and guys grabbing at you and catcalling and things like that.
Or Tokyo on the train, groping.
Yeah,
that happens too.
Yeah, I think that happens more to Japanese women than it does Westerners, though.
And they make like videos about it and stuff. It's kind of weird.
I think they also started making fake videos like that, but. So, you know, it is kind of nice that you're left alone. You're not having to worry about whether a guy's going to approach you and do something.
It is nice.
In a public area. I can't guarantee that it might not happen in an alleyway.
Well, I mean, you can't really ever guarantee it won't happen. But
right.
For the most part, it helps people not be retarded.
And like I said, a lot of the times you'll get to the front of the line.
Yeah, that's the best part.
So,
it really is. And a lot of times the family side of restaurants are a lot better than the single side of restaurants. They have better kitchens, better service, and it's just a lot nicer.
El Chico.
Way good. We're going to do a restaurant episode, ladies and gentlemen.
You guys have to forgive me. I love Mexican food, and we finally got to go to El Chico on Valentine's Day. Uh-huh. And it's turned into the spot because I made him take me this past weekend too.
I'm not complaining. It's good.
It was good both times.
Yeah, I mean it's not like super good, but it's good for a Mexican restaurant. The service is
fairly decent too.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's best service there than we've had anywhere else.
I tell Grant, if you ever want to find a Westerner, go to El Chico because it's full. I've never seen that many Westerners in one place than I have at El Chico. But anyways, moving on. I don't think I can think of any other advantages to being a woman. I mean, I get to wear my pajamas around all day long. Mm-hmm. I don't have to drive. I get to the front of the line.
There's not much else you can complain about.
I don't have to worry about guys being pervy in a lingerie store.
I mean, just think, you don't have to think about what you're going to wear in the morning. You know how awesome that would be?
I have 20 pairs of running shorts to go there.
She brought more running shorts than anything else when she came over here.
Hey, it's hot here, and I have to wear an abaya. Thank you. What it is.
So we're done with that, guys. We're gonna move on to the obligatory news story. What you got for us, Amanda?
I know we were talking about the differences between the Western world and here in Saudi Arabia, and I came across this headline. It's actually from the Arab News. It was published on February 7th, so it's a little old. We're going to work on getting some newer ones, but I thought this was interesting. The headline reads, "Kingdom outlines plan to give e-learning a significant boost." I'm not really going to go into the specifics of the article because the title says it all.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to talk about was the difference between a Western world and here. The first university I ever worked at was really heavy on e-learning just because we were in Japan.
I'll write it out. University of Maryland, University College.
Just call it out?
Yep, I'll call it out.
They should pay us for advertising. But anyways,
I know, right?
I did work there. I worked in Japan. It was the first university I had worked for. And I was actually going to school there because they had classes on base.
Hey, me too. Well, one class anyways.
I think you took 2 classes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One you quit going to, but anyways.
No, I passed 2 classes. I quit one of them because we left to go to Saudi. No. Or I left to go to Saudi.
No, you stopped. You got a failure of non-attendance. You stopped going to one class because you couldn't do it. That was the first time you ever took Japanese.
Maybe it was. I think that was when we were 12-hour shifts or something.
Anyways, I bring this up because I actually finished my bachelor's degree mostly online because
English.
Not
math. Remember last episode? Not math. It's English.
I can do math pretty well, but I can do it better than you can. Mm-hmm. Anyways,
I have calculators.
Can you stop talking?
No.
Thank you. So anyways, I had to finish most of my degree online because English wasn't a really popular degree there. So they didn't really offer classes on ground. So it's interesting to me that they're just now getting into e-learning here in the university system, whereas every other part of the Western world has come to embrace this type of learning. The second college I worked at, we had an online division. I won't mention the name because I don't.
Nope, I don't like them enough.
Anyways, so it really just is interesting that it's taken this long for them to get into it versus the Western world. Thoughts?
They don't have computers in Saudi Arabia for the most part.
Yeah, but I mean, in a culture where everybody has a freaking iPhone 5.
But nobody knows how to use a computer. I mean, I don't want to say nobody,
Really?
but like it works.
Every business you go into has some type of computer. Granted, most of them aren't employed by Saudis, but
I mean, look, I'm gonna say it work. I'm not gonna say where I work, but there's a lot of. We just recently got computers. Like there was 2 computers for an office of 20 people.
Okay.
And none of them knew how to use it.
where you work, what is the age demographic?
25 to
Exactly.
50?
So we're already talking too old for what we're talking about here, because we're talking about more people fresh out of what we would call in the States high school.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking the younger adults.
Mm-hmm.
People that are now being...
Well, yeah, and you're right. Because I guess a lot of my Saudi friends, they're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, WhatsApp, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you're right. But right now, is a society, like the more mature individuals, like if they wanted to go back to school, they'd actually have to go to school. I don't think they'd be able to do the distance learning.
Well, no.
Plus,
but that happens a lot in the States too.
Plus, there's a lot of places that have sporadic or no internet. Like if you go out in towards the more farms or towards other places, even mobile internet almost doesn't work.
We have sporadic.
Yeah. we have no 3G,
internet.
no Edge, no HSPA.
Go figure that we have
nothing.
Go figure that we have fiber optic, and the thing can be slow as
21 down, guys. 21 down. I will definitely give a shout out to STC for having decent fiber optic internet.
Yeah, but it's not consistent.
Correct. And
So maybe that's part of the issue of why e-learning isn't such a big thing here. But in a society that's trying to play catch up, this is something they need to focus on a little more than they have been.
Well, they've been focusing on like scholarships for overseas education, like going to Western,
But
Europe or the United States or stuff like that. I
understand that, and I agree that they're doing that, and it's a good idea because they're trying to provide a better education for their younger, the younger generation. But at the same time, why not take the money that it's costing them to send these students to the States or to Europe to develop something more sustainable here in the kingdom?
Have you looked at the price of oil lately?
Yeah.
That's why. Because they don't really... There's no budget in Saudi Arabia. I mean, they have one on paper, but they're making... Oh, God, I don't even know what the number is a day, but it's some...
well, I know. It's like the world's largest supplier of oil.
I mean, it's an
that.
obscene amount of money, and they can do whatever they need to do. That's why there's so many government programs and so many government jobs, and even though
but if they're pushing
unemployment
for...
rate, they're making jobs for people. So, I mean... It's slowly but surely they're getting where they need to be at.
For me, I feel like that right there, them pushing to give more jobs to people, right here.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, it's true. Yeah. I agree with you.
But I mean, we have also grown up in a society that's pushed education and pushed education, and has...
To a fault in some cases.
Right. Because college and things like that, they're not for everybody.
Yeah, look, I can't do college. I don't like it. I don't have the attention span. I don't have the patience to sit down and listen to somebody talk about something I can read about in half the time. But
at the same time, you are in a field that shouldn't require that type of education.
Correct. I am in a way quote unquote technical field.
In a way, they do, because to get an A&P, you have to have some type of higher education, right?
No, not really.
I mean,
no.
In a technical field, it's...
You have to have the work experience. You have to have the documented work experience in order to get it.
So I just, it makes it easier for people to get a job. I know if I didn't have a degree, I wouldn't get the jobs that I do get.
Correct. But you carry more traditional jobs. We'll say it's
the jobs that I held the longest tend to be in higher education.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I've needed that degree, because why would you allow somebody to work at a college in a certain type of job if they didn't have a degree?
Correct.
Because then you're just kind of preaching to the choir at that point.
But really what it comes down to is getting more education to more people, cheaper and easier.
Right.
So the e-learning is a great idea, as long as they implement it correctly, as long as there's minimal corruption, as long as there's...
And I hope it doesn't end up like in the States.
Where it's for-profit, basically? Or where, what?
Right, and being somebody who has worked in both environments as a, public college and for-profit, and who's gone to school at a public school, I really...
Valdosta State?
I really don't agree with for-profits. That's just me. I know a lot of places are leaning towards that because, of course, they're having to keep money to keep running.
Yeah, I agree.
But, in the States, distance education will cost you more than if you were to go to sit in a class.
Much more. But then again, it's also quote-unquote easier.
Right.
Going to a class and doing the midterms and the final exams in front of a proxy. I mean, in front of a proctor.
Well, even
proxy. Really?
But there's even colleges that don't require you to sit in front of a proctor.
Yeah.
So then it becomes, where is this issue? If I'm having to pay for my internet, I'm having to pay for my computer to use, or I'm having to pay to get to a computer, I'm having to pay for my books. Where is this money going? Why is it costing more when they can overload the professor that's doing these? Or they can be like one university that I went to where I started my master's, and just have an online board posting where you post answers, and who knows when they're going to check it or even say anything to you. It's ridiculous.
Either way.
Anyway.
Saudi Arabia e-learning is a subject here.
Yes. And I'm hoping that it flourishes, and I hope that they come up with a really good plan and start to push it, because I think more people need to go to school. Well, people who can't make it to.
Exactly. Plus it's cool for like women that have to take care of families, mothers, that kind of stuff. If you have an elder relative that you have to take care of. Or maybe
they have a family business and they have to work at it during the day, and they can only go at night, and maybe these places don't offer it, then...
Yeah, it's like I said, it's all about getting the education out there for the people. So as long as you give them the option, if they want it, they're going to take it.
Right. And like we said, not everybody needs to go to school. Not everybody needs a college degree to do what they're going to do.
It's true.
So, but the option and the availability to have it is always a good thing. And it shows progress, I think.
All right, guys. Well, we're about to come up on an hour here in just a minute, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for you. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
Yes.
We've been getting more feedback, which is awesome, and we really, really appreciate it.
We could always use more questions.
Yes, please.
I don't think I've seen a question in a while.
No, I just got one the other day.
Did you need to mention it?
No. It was a, hey, can you talk about this?
Okay. Well, no, I meant like a question.
No, it's in process for the next couple episodes.
I didn't know. Just saying.
But I think the next episode is going to come out probably Thursday or Friday. We're going to have the Pink Tar Hot Girls on, 2 of them. Woo. And that's going to be really cool. It's nice to get another...
My peoples.
It's nice to get another developed in a nice mainstay blog.
And they've been here for quite a while, so...
Oh, yeah, quite a few years. Yes. Like, 3 or 4 years, something like that?
And I think that's how we found out about the cake shop, so...
Yeah, and one of them is actually... grew up here as an expat.
Oh, wow, okay.
So there's going to be a lot of cool insight coming in. So definitely throw in your questions if you guys have any, because it's going to be kind of cool. I think they're nurses, I believe.
I think so, too. I think, if you need to know where to get anything or something fun to do.
Oh, they know.
Definitely send those questions before next week, because these girls will know where to go.
Yeah, they know they've been here so long and done so much stuff that it's just I'm really lucky that we were able to get them up on here.
For sure.
And also the following week, I think we're gonna try and get Dr. Lana on. We're talking to her. She is so busy.
Yes.
But Dr. Lana with openpaws.org. We're going to get her on to talk about that organization and how you guys can better take care of your pets and maybe find some pets, foster some, animals.
And if you haven't already, check out the blog post that Grant has shared on the blog about owning a dog here in Saudi Arabia because I think it was very informative.
I thought it was kind of cool. We got it from American Baidu, right? Isn't that where I posted it from?
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody actually was nice enough to send us a message with.
Because we always talk about our puppy.
Yeah.
Who's getting bigger and is a handful, but we love her.
There's a picture of her on the blog post.
Yes.
Yeah. I put it on there about the pet store thing.
Lexi.
So, but yeah, we really appreciate, like we always say, contact us. Go to Facebook. The ways you can contact us, again, are facebook.com/Saudi Expat Podcast. You can email us at saudiexpatpodcast@gmail.com. There's the website, saudiexpatpodcast.com. You can get the podcast there, or you can get it off of iTunes. Please leave comments on iTunes, rate us, so we can get more exposure. Not gonna lie, I really would love it.
And if you didn't get any of that, just search Google Saudi Expat Podcast.
Fill in a little bit of time, because I'm actually going to check it right now to see if it works.
What do you want me to fill in time with?
I don't know.
I think people have had enough of us.
Oh, God. No, we're not that
I think
bad,
that we need to play the Jeopardy theme song right now. To get you to do it faster.
Well, whatever.
We did end up going to a new pet store this weekend.
Yeah, and I did just put up a blog post about it also. So.
It was the first one we stopped at, which was Animal Planet. It was actually really clean inside. It was a little small. They didn't carry much, but it seemed to be pretty good. But that might be because it just opened. I, on the other hand, am not sure that I ever want to take my dog to get groomed here in Saudi Arabia after seeing how some guy was handling a cat.
It works.
See?
It works. Type in Saudi Expat Podcast for like the entire
just so y'all
first page of Google. So that's kind of cool. I'm really happy about that.
All that tagging worked.
Yeah, we're the entire top of it. So that's cool, guys. Yeah. Look, share us, like us. The more people we get, the more suggestions we can get, the more cool stuff we can do. Even if you tell us just to keep on topic. Yeah. We also, we are now 4 microphones strong. Woot. So if you guys want anybody or know of another blog, or even if you as a listener feel you can contribute something like helping me with my speaking skills, apparently, let us know.
I didn't study linguistics, so I can't teach you how to speak. I have enough trouble on my own. Yeah, let us know. We'll have you over. We'll have some pizza. Make a podcast. There you go. It'd be fun. I'm going to start ordering extra sauce on the pizza, though. Yeah, they don't put enough. No, it's like bread and cheese. Yeah. Anyways, thanks a lot for sticking with us. I know it was kind of a long podcast, but hopefully we covered a bunch of good stuff that can help you guys out. And as always, appreciate it. Have a great day. Deuces.